Palmer. Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on a Tuesday. Glad you're spending some time with us here. Hope your week is off to a good start. Casey Gaines, Taylor Sharp back there on the ones and twos. We're with you till 3 o'clock. Saints making some coaching hires. Sean Payton making some hires from the Saints. That's in 15 minutes. Glenn West always with us on Tuesdays from Go 247. He'll join us at 1:30. Got some SEC hoops tonight. A couple of really big games in SEC play tonight that we'll get to in the second hour. Some college football in the second hour as well. Returning production in the SEC. Where does LSU stand? Who's first on that list, which I find pretty interesting. Sharif, ishak talking Saints and Pels at 2:30 as well. We start a little bit of a different place. I don't start a lot of early February conversations around the NBA. And when I do have early February thoughts about the NBA, it's usually about the Pelicans. But not today. Cam Thomas is in fuego. He has rolled up back-to-back monster nights. 47 points last night, 44 2 nights previous to that. That followed up games where he had 19 and 21. He's rolling right now. And it's interesting to think about Cam Thomas and his relationship with LSU and then the fan base, which most of the time on these airwaves, I'm talking to you, the LSU fan base. And, you know, when a guy comes through here and spends 3 or 4 years at the box, you get attached. I mean, look at Alex Bregman. We'll do a show on Friday where he'll be out there, and he still has such a powerful relationship with LSU in Baton Rouge. He was the opening speaker at the first pitch banquet a couple of weeks ago. Somebody comes in here in football and spends 3 years, they're an icon here if they have amazing success, especially at the next level. But basketball is a little bit different. I was watching the documentary ESPN 30 for 30 on the NC State Miracle National Championship basketball team. And they were going through what the ACC looked like at that time, and it was Patrick Ewing at Georgetown for 3 years. Michael Jordan at North Carolina for 3 years. Ralph Sampson at Virginia for 4 years. And so those guys create the same thing I'm talking about. Same thing as Bregman or Aaron Nola or, you know, same thing as Leonard Fournette or even Tyrann Mathieu, who was cut short, but still, like, the relationship with the school. And then I think about Cam Thomas. And not that he's Leonard Fournette, not that he's Tyrann Mathieu, not that he's Joe Burrow, not that he's Shaq or Pistol Pete, but he was a massively sought-after recruit, McDonald's All-American. I saw multiple scouts that said he was the best scorer in that class. And he comes to LSU and really lived up to the billing at LSU. He was awesome. But he played for 1 year, which is very, very short, and he played in an empty PMAC. There were COVID limitations. You could only let so many people in. You had to wear a mask. It was still just a not that fun a year. He was a first-team All-SEC player, first-team All-Freshman team. He made the SEC tournament, All-Tournament team. The AP gave him honorable mention All-American. He had a great year. Averaged 23 a game. In 17 SEC games, 23.1 points per game. In the 2 NCAA tournament games, he scored 27 on St. Bonaventure and 30 on Michigan. That's huge to have those kind of numbers. But the PMAC was empty. The world was still a weird place, and he was only here for a year, so it's kind of like a flash in the pan. He's gone. And I don't know that LSU fans kind of wrap their arms around that to the extent they do the other sports that have to stay longer. But he was really good here, I promise you. And he's playing like lights out right now for Brooklyn. And I was looking back at his game logs from the year because Cam's one of those guys, you don't have to wonder what his game is going to look like at the next level. Cam Thomas only has one speed. He's not a combo guard. He's a scoring guard. He's not a two-way player. He's not a 3-and-D. He's a scorer. He was a scorer in middle school. He was a scorer in high school. He was a scorer in college. He's a scorer now. That's the only gear he has is scoring points. And he's great at it. But when you're playing on a team that's got Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, a lot of times you don't play. He played a total of 58 seconds from the Nets' second game of the year through the 8th game of the year. Had 5 did not plays. And then you go through in some of his November stats, you go, okay, they had some injuries. They let him play some. And he played great. He went through a 3-week stretch where he had 17 points, 21 points, 19 points, and 6 and 4, 15 points, 12 points. And then the roster's made whole again. He goes back to playing very limited minutes. 7 minutes on November 17th. 4 minutes on the 21st. 3 minutes 2 nights later. And he's never going to be a guy that's going to give you much if you play him 7 minutes. Because he's a volume shooting scorer. But you don't get the ball. You have no ability to become a volume scorer when Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving are on the floor. Not going to work. Well, now, Kyrie throws a fit, as usual, as is tradition. It's an annual thing. Kyrie's ticked at somebody. Never Kyrie's fault. Your fault and your fault and your fault and your fault. I'm mad. Trade me now. I'm out. Doesn't matter if it's LeBron, Westbrook, coaches, GMs, rules, laws. He's mad at everybody all the time. So we got to get rid of Kyrie. Okay, they can get rid of Kyrie. Well, Cam, that just freed up like 25 minutes of game time where the ball would have been in Kyrie's hands. What's you going to do? He's been fantastic. And he's taken a ton of shots. But he's scoring efficiently by taking a ton of shots. Back 3 nights ago, he played 29 minutes. He shot the ball 23 times. But he shot 70% from the floor and made 4 of 5 of his threes. And oh, by the way, if you recall from watching Cam Thomas here in Baton Rouge, he gets to the line a lot. That translates to the NBA. He was 8 of 9 from the stripe. That adds up to 44 points. Figure maybe that's a flash in the pan. One big night. Anybody in the league can do that. Well, he shows up the next night in 38 minutes. He takes 29 shots, which is a lot. But if you're going to take 29 shots and you're going to make 52% of them, 15, hey, keep shooting. 7 of 11 from 3, including some deep ones. So over the 2 nights, he was 11 of 16 from 3-point range. That dog will hunt. So will 18 of 20 from the free throw line. The NBA is so difficult to crack because guys stay around a while. There just aren't that many roster spots, not that many spots on the floor. It's hard to break in, and sometimes you need a break. You need to get drafted by a team that doesn't really have any good players, so you get more minutes. You need an injury here or there. You need a trade of one of the best players on your team to just give you an opportunity to get out there. And now that Cam Thomas has put this out there, and it's not just the 47 last night, the 44 the night before that. He had 21 points on January 30th. He had 33 points back on December 10th. He scored in double figures in 5 of 7 games back in November. He's putting out enough now where everybody in the league can now look at Cam Thomas, who's 21 years old, and say, okay, there's a skill set there. As we continue to tinker with our roster and look towards the future, if we need somebody that can score, there's a guy that we put on our list. Now, if you're the Nets, there are a lot of people saying, hey, the Nets, they've come out on the positive end of this. They got a guy who's more efficient than Kyrie right now scoring the ball, and he didn't yell at everybody. Now, that was ambitious. Kyrie Irving is one of the best players on the planet. Cam Thomas not there yet. But you get the point of where I'm going. If the Nets can get this type of production, not 40 a night, but 16 a night, 14 a night, all of a sudden, that's a nice piece. And he's a little bit undersized at 6'4", but not too bad. I don't know that he's 6'4", but he can score. And I enjoyed the heck out of watching him play at LSU. I think there are maybe some people that thought he shot too much, or they didn't like Wade's style of basketball, or call it street ball, even though they're running sets every time down the floor. That team was very poor on defense. They had Javonte and Watford and Cam, and they could score. They step out there and hit a shot. They could flat score. They just weren't very good on defense. That's about Cam Thomas's MO. Give me the rock. I'll put it up. We'll get buckets. Just may take some time to play a little defense and do some of the other things on the floor. But Cam Thomas, I'm pumped at it for him that he's had this little breakthrough, and now he's carving out some time with the Nets. And if for some reason they want to go a different direction, he'll have plenty of suitors knocking down his door, because there just aren't that many guys in the league that can go for 40 back-to-back nights. Cam Thomas did that. So shout out to Cam. Just a weird situation with him in Baton Rouge here with an empty arena with COVID and a tournament that was played all over the state of Indiana. Just a weird deal. But Cam, he's hot at the moment. Take your time out. Come back. Talk some Saints. Sean Payton is dipping into that New Orleans well for his staff. I'll tell you about it next on the Hunt Palmer Show.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Bayou Ford. Check out the inventory, BayouFord.com. Right there when you pull up BayouFord.com, they've got some really, really easy search engine capabilities. You can choose the make, choose the model, choose pre-owned or new, and see if they have exactly what you're looking for. Maybe you're not sure what you're looking for. They've got the whole inventory there at BayouFord.com, whether it's a Mustang, a Bronco, Explorer, Expedition, F-150. They got you covered at BayouFord.com. If they don't have exactly what you want, don't settle. Don't settle for something that you don't want. Get the exact car that meets your specifications. Bayou Ford can customize a car and have it turned around in 60 to 90 days. And once that car comes in, they will drive it right to your front door with that paperwork. You never have to set foot at the dealership. New era of car buying. Bayou Ford is at the forefront of it. Check out the inventory at BayouFord.com. BayouFord.com is the website. Bayou Ford, they're going to do right by you.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
We get it done with strength,
commitment,
dedication,
grit.
We get it done
with passion for our fans
and love for our community.
We are the Tigers.
Get it done.
Let the values of the purple and gold be in your starting lineup this season. And as always, get it done.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust poll of the day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, anytime. Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the poll of the day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure glad you're here.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
Saturday, February 25th, 7 p.m. The Bulls Bands and Barrels Tour at the Lamar Dixon Expo Center. Presented by Jerry Lane Chevrolet. Edge of your seat excitement with bull riding, barrel racing, ultimate bullfighting. With a live performance by Bailey Zimmerman. With Timothy Wayne, plus two-time PBR world champion Chris Shivers, and Brinson James, the entertainer. Tickets and information at bullsbandsandbarrels.com. Saturday, February 25th, Lamar Dixon Expo Center at 7 p.m. Presented by Jerry Lane Chevrolet, the #1 Chevrolet dealer in Louisiana.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $8,500 off new 2022 Ram 1500s. New 2022 Ram 1500 trucks on our lot now with $8,500 off MSRP. All new Bayou vehicles come with a $1 million.
On Wednesdays off the bench, the Pels managed to make it 3 in a row against the Hawks. 1 day closer to baseball, 1 day closer to LSU, South Carolina. All the latest in the college football landscape and an hour of flustering with our guy Matt Flynn. Off the bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
So, but now that you know that the Saints and Joe Woods have come to terms, and he will be the defensive coordinator for the New Orleans Saints. He was with the Browns. None of their statistics super impressive. 20th in the league in points allowed, 25th in the league in rush defense, 25th in yards per carry allowed, 5th ranked pass defense, but they were pretty poor against the run, which helps your pass defense because teams just run it instead of throw it. They're 28th in the NFL in sacks, 22nd in interceptions. There's nothing to really write home about with Joe Woods here. But the fact of the matter is, it doesn't really matter that much that the Browns' defense wasn't very good under Joe Woods. Because Joe Woods is just going to come in to be the right-hand man of Dennis Allen, who's going to handle the defense. You know this. And yes, the Saints stunk this year. The season was miserable. They didn't make the playoffs. It creates some angst in you because you were used to this successful era, and now it's kind of getting into the rearview mirror, and you're thinking, how do we keep this together? And it's frustrating, and it creates a sense of uncertainty that you never had to deal with Peyton and Breeze. But the Saints' defense was pretty good. They shut the Raiders out. Then they allowed 27 to Baltimore. Allowed 20 points to Pittsburgh. 20 against the Rams. 13 against San Francisco. 17 against Tampa. It was all in the last 3 minutes. 18 against Atlanta. 10 at Cleveland in the ice. Allowed 10 at Philly, backup quarterback, but still 10 points. Played Carolina, allowed 10. Look, over the last 10 weeks of the season, you allowed 14.5 points per game. Was the run defense awesome? No. Did it always look dominant? No. Did they do a pretty good job of not allowing the other team to score points for the last 10 weeks of the season? Yeah. There are going to be some personnel changes. What happens up front? Cam Jordan, Davenport. What's the deal with Caden Ellis, Matthew? Like, I get it. There are still some moving pieces you got to handle. But you've got a coordinator who's got a really strong track record. He's now your head coach. And you ought to be pretty functional on the defensive side of the ball. I don't care what they're doing on defense. What is the offense going to look like? Personnel, plan, all that is more interesting to me. For the season, the Saints were 9th in the NFL in points allowed. It wasn't that bad. The question is, how deep into this staff is Sean Payton going to pick at from Denver? Zach Sharif, going to go be the offensive line coach. This is a little over my skis, and I feel like I'm fairly candid with you when I feel like I'm comfortable and confident talking about a topic, and when I am kind of relying on other people. I'm kind of relying on Jeff Duncan and Luke Johnson, Sharif, the people around the Saints organization far more often than me to tell me what the impact is on some of these staffers. And to a person, everyone says Zach Strief's a pretty important cog in what the Saints are doing. Does losing an offensive assistant railroad the entire organization? No, that is not what I'm trying to insinuate. What I'm telling you is they feel like Strief did serve a purpose in there and that Peyton obviously wants him for a reason. He's headed to Denver. That may not be it. He's targeted 4 members of the old staff. The Broncos are going to interview Ronald Curry, who's the Saints quarterback's coach. He interviewed earlier this week with Tampa for their open offensive coordinator spot. Peyton really likes him. And quite frankly, Ronald Curry's got an opportunity to work as quarterback's coach for the Broncos and Sean Payton, or as a lieutenant to Pete Carmichael. I think you're probably going to follow Sean P there. Longtime Saints assistant Kevin Petrie, been there 6 years, football ops. Sean's looking at hiring him. Now, Petrie's from the North Shore, and he went to LSU. He's a Louisiana guy. We'll see if that pull with Sean Payton is strong enough. Declan Doyle's been an offensive assistant for 4 years with the Saints. Might be looking at him as a tight end coach. He's not stealing coordinators. He's not taking Dennis Allen as the head coach and making him the defensive coordinator. These are lower level ancillary staff pieces that he may be kind of prying at. But I think most of us believe that Sean Payton surrounds himself with pretty good assistants. I don't know that Rob Ryan's the best coach I ever saw. The Steve Spagnuolo thing didn't work. We know that. So it's not like 100%. But he's got a pretty good track record. And he's targeting these guys. So I'm curious how deep these ties are going to run, being that he's been gone for 12 months. Or is it just a couple of support staff, you leave everything as is? Because I'm just curious if Saints fans, if your opinion of Sean Payton can change over time. Clearly, him coming in, taking the job in the state, the city, and the football franchise we're in, and bringing it to the heights that he did, make him a top 3 influential figure in the history of the organization. You throw Breeze in there, you throw Tom Benson in there, then you've got Payton. Is that tarnishable? Is there anything he could do that would take away from that in your eyes? Maybe quitting on the Saints, if you see it that way, makes you feel that way. Maybe continue to hire Saints staff members to theoretically weaken the organization. Clearly, he's going to have a ton of relationships here. He spent 15 years here. He knows the assistants. He knows the ancillary staff members. He knows directors of ops. I don't know, again, that Declan Doyle and Kevin Petrie and Ronald Curry are going to, knock your socks off. You're a Saints fan going, he did what? He took Ronald Curry? Probably a lot of Saints fans don't know who Ronald Curry is. But just one of those things. Like Matt McMahon came to LSU, and I think all the Murray State fans were kind of happy that he found a chance at a Power 5 spot. Well, then you go take Juice Hill, and you go take Trey Hannibal, and you go take the Player of the Year and KJ Williams, and we had a television reporter on from Paducah, Kentucky, where they cover Murray State. So yeah, I think everybody's pretty happy for him. And then it's like, yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't tear the program apart. Not apples to apples again. But it's interesting that Sean Payton's targeting some folks on the Saints staff. It's going to be a weird dynamic. Not one that I've been around since I've been paying attention to the Saints. You didn't have to worry about Mike Ditka coming back and stealing a lot of your assistants. Jim Haslett wasn't in that position. Jim Moore had some success. But I just wonder if it's just, I love Sean Payton forever and always, no worries, do whatever you got to do, I understand the business. Or is it, hey, stay away. You quit. You left. Leave us alone. Even though that's not realistic. Still, I find it a little bit fascinating. So we'll see just how many pieces of the Saints football operations staff that Sean Payton does target and does bring with him to Denver, where he's turning over a new leaf. And I'm sure all of y'all have seen the clip from yesterday by now when they asked him, hey, Russell Wilson going to have a quarterback coach individual that can come in the facility? I'm not familiar with that. That won't be going on here. Sean Payton ain't going to deal with it. Might have worked for Nathaniel Hackett. Not this time around. So we'll see just how deep Sean P. can dig into those coffers here in New Orleans. It's the 104.5 ESPN Big Game Contest presented by Heineken Silver, where you can win $50,000 in cash if your name is drawn from the pot and you've correctly guessed the final score of the game. We'll also be selecting a guaranteed local winner, the 104.5 ESPN Big Game Contest presented by Heineken Silver. All the taste, no bitter endings. Get your score guesses in now at 1045ESPN.com. I'm going to move Sharif Ishak up to 2 o'clock from his normal 2:30 spot. Going to talk some Pels as well as some Saints with Sharif. Looking forward to that. Got some SEC football to talk about a little bit later, plus an anniversary that we'll get to at the end of this hour. But first, we'll get to Glenn West of Go 247. That's next on the Hunt Palmer Show.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
We all have our systems when we bet, from picking the perfect upset to combing through injury reports the night before the big game. There's one thing every bettor should include in their system. That's the Responsible Gaming Tools app available on the FanDuel Sportsbook. These tools help you keep your play in check and under control. They're tools like time limits, so you don't unknowingly spend more time on the app than you intended, wager limits to help prevent you from betting more than you should, and you can even take a timeout, which pauses your account for as long as you may need. FanDuel wants every bettor's experience to be about fun and entertainment. So visit FanDuel.com/playwell and make Responsible Gaming Tools a part of your system. Must be 21 and present in Louisiana. If you or someone who has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-877-770-STOP.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $8,500 off new 2022 Ram 1500s. New 2022 Ram 1500 trucks on our lot now with $8,500 off MSRP. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust poll of the day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, anytime. Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the poll of the day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
Start your day with news and newsmakers. Start your day with traffic, weather, and local stories that are important to you. Kickstart your day every day. Mornings with Brian Haldane from 6 to 9 a.m. Weekdays on Talk 107.3.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure glad you're here.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana Loyal. Always.
Saturday, February 25th, 7 p.m. The Bulls Bands and Barrels Tour at the Lamar Dixon Expo Center. Presented by Jerry Lane Chevrolet. Edge of your seat excitement with bull riding, barrel racing, ultimate bullfighting. With a live performance by Bailey Zimmerman.
Kansas City Chiefs face the Philadelphia Eagles in Super Bowl 57. Tune in Sunday, February 12th, starting at 1 p.m. with Westwood One Super Bowl preview, leading you up to kickoff at 5:30 p.m. right here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
It is Tuesday. That means at 1:30 we head out to the Jim's Firearms Hotline, chat with our guy Glenn West from Go247. Glenn, how are you?
I'm doing good, Hunt. How are you?
Doing very well. Have you seen the offense for this LSU basketball team take some strides over the last week and change?
Yeah, I think so. Look, I mean, you can't really be in a much worse spot than they've been, for much of this last month. But and still, the shooting percentage is not great. I think they shot 30% on Saturday, and that loss to Alabama. But I think probably the biggest turning point was the low turnovers. They only had 2 turnovers with about 8 minutes and change left in that game. The offensive rebounds were continued to be a high point. They've been doing a really good job on the offensive glass and creating second chance opportunities. They've been getting out in transition a little bit better and creating some cleaner looks. They just got to start knocking them down. And so I think that was all 3 of those reasons were key to LSU kind of hanging in that game maybe a little longer than most expected. But no doubt there's still work to be done to try to claw yourself out of this hole.
As is always the case almost when you're talking about sports and you look at a statistic, there's probably multiple layers to it. But when you see LSU's not shooting a very high percent, and hasn't this year, do you think it's because they're not getting good shots or because they're not making good shots?
Yeah, so I think up until maybe this last game, maybe the last couple games actually, it was mainly because they weren't getting good looks. But I do kind of tend to think that the last couple games in particular, against against Alabama and against Missouri, they were getting pretty clean looks. Even in Texas Tech game, I thought they had some good opportunities to score, and they just haven't been making them. And I think that is it's obviously an issue. It's got to be something they address. But they are getting better looks, and I do think that eventually those averages will start to even out for them, and we'll be able to help them. As their SEC slate gets a little bit cleaner and a little bit easier.
Tyrell Ward got a start. I wouldn't call it a massive impact on the game on Saturday, but he did go out there first. Do you think there's a growing role for him on this team?
I think so. I actually, of the freshmen, I was most impressed the last couple games with Sean Phillips.
Yeah.
He hadn't had a ton of opportunities this season, but he's a long, big center who they don't really have a lot of that on this team, and he's pretty much that option. So, he had about 4 points in 5 minutes. He played 11 minutes in the previous game. So, I think there's going to be opportunity for him. I think Tyrell will continue to get some looks as well. He knocked down 2 threes in that loss last week against Missouri. But they don't have a whole lot of consistency right now. In terms of just which guys are going to step up on which days. This last game it was Derek Fountain who had a career night. Most of the year it's been KJ Williams who's been their offensive go-to guy, and then he comes up 2 for 9 in that loss against Alabama. So he has a little bit better shooting day. Maybe they keep that game a little bit closer down the stretch. But certainly I think you've got to look at a lot of these players and wonder just which ones are going to be the hot hand for the game, and you got to ride with them.
Look, it's game to game, and a lot of us are going to watch no matter what, but we kind of understand what this season is and is going to be and what the end result is going to be. You're going to go to Nashville and eventually, well, I don't even know where the SEC tournament is this year, but you'll lose fairly early in that, and that'll kind of be it. There's not going to be any postseason for this team. So fans sit here and go, well, what can we build on for next year? And was the performance that Derek Fountain gave on Saturday something you could look at and go, that's a guy that may be able to help a better team next year?
Yeah, no, I think absolutely, and I think that's evaluations of this roster is going to be something that you're going to have to really look at closely after this year. We've talked about it a ton, but there's not a whole lot of size at any of the positions on this roster right now in terms of where these guys are being asked to play, and I think that's going to be a big vocal point here in the off season in terms of the transfer portal and the guys that Coach McMahon's going to be looking to add out of the portal. They've got to get bigger. They've got to get more athletic. They've got to get guys who can shoot the three ball a little bit more efficiently. And I think there's, performance like Fountain had this last game is kind of what the blueprint of what LSU wants to build their program on. We asked that question to Coach McMahon after the game on Saturday, and he said that Derek Fountain is kind of the guy that he wants to have, leading this team and having the mindset with these players that he does has been really crucial in trying to keep this group together.
How do you think Matt McMahon's doing mentally?
Yeah, it's tough. I think it's probably tough on everyone. I mean, this has been probably the worst stretch of any of their careers in terms of not just coaching, but also for the players. And it takes a toll on you eventually with all the losses piling up. And I think Coach McMahon's just in a position right now where he's throwing lots of new stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks. And, he's thrown together, I think, 3 or 4 different lineup combinations in the last few games, and they've had some stretches here where they've looked like a team that could compete with some SEC teams in this conference this year. But certainly it's the consistency and really kind of towards the end of games, the lack of offensive efficiency has really kind of killed them and kept them from winning a couple of these winnable games down the stretch.
Mississippi State's really good on defense, but they're not great on offense. Still, you have a chance tomorrow?
Yeah, I think so. I think this is probably the portion of the schedule here where you could probably claw out a win, whether it's against Mississippi State or Georgia or South Carolina in the next couple of weeks. But, I think that they've shown you enough offensively to see that they're going to continue to get some clean looks. And, if they convert at a higher rate on those clean looks in the next couple of games, then I think they absolutely can squeak 1 or 2 out here in the next couple of weeks. And Mississippi State is certainly a group that I think they can have success with.
Glenn West, Go247 senior writer covering LSU basketball, baseball, football, recruiting. It's all there for you at Go247. Anything you see this weekend at the box that impressed you?
Yeah, I mean, I the second weekend in a row, I got a chance to watch Chase Shores, and I watched him probably from about 3 rows into the behind the plate, and man, that ball comes out fast. He was pushing close to 100 miles an hour at times in that scrimmage over the weekend. So that's just another arm that you can add to this pitching staff that I think is going to be really crucial to their season. I think they have about 6 or 7 guys they feel really comfortable with throwing out in the starting role. And that's a really good problem to have when you only got, 3 weekend spots available. So they're going to have some big arms coming out of the bullpen. The pitching kind of really dominated the offense this weekend for the 2 scrimmages that I saw, which is a good thing. I think that's really crucial when these batters face these pitchers for so much of the fall and the spring. For the pitchers to still be having this level of success, I think is going to be really, really a good thing for this group come the start of the season.
You mentioned Shores. Think he's a bullpen arm or a weekend starter?
Nothing would surprise me. I mean, I think he's probably a bullpen arm, but he has been dominant these last couple weekends, and I think we'll certainly get a good look, maybe a midweek starter early in the season, and see kind of how his role develops from there.
Got Texas in the midweek in week 2. That'd be an interesting spot if you wanted to pitch him after that Round Rock tournament. We shall certainly see. What do you think about DH?
Yeah, I think they're going to have a bunch of guys they're going to throw out there. I think Paul Skeens will have a couple opportunities early in the year. Cade Beloso. I think I'm starting to lean towards Braden Jobert winning one of the outfield roles, and so maybe he's a guy that if he doesn't win that outfield role will be a DH guy. But I think that they're going to have a lot of options. You can go down the list: Paxton Kling, Gavin Guidry, if you want to kind of hit for contact kind of guy. They're going to be a lot of guys that they trot out there in those roles. Jared Jones has really impressed this spring. He's a guy that if he doesn't, win the first base or catcher job, which I don't think any of us believe he will, to start the year, he's going to be a big part of this offensive rotation, I think, as a DH spot.
Baseball at the box here, and let's see, 14. There's only one more week, so no, it's like 10. It's like 10 days.
Yeah, 10 days.
That was refreshing because I overcounted there, which is good because this week seems to be dragging on. It's only Tuesday. One more for you, Glenn, before we get you out of here. We appreciate your time very much. Gavin Dugas, a guy that we know from his time here. We know he hit 19 homers, led the SEC in RBIs. We know the big swings he's had. Hadn't been able to stay healthy. Where do you think he is right now in the rotation?
So he's just getting back. I think this is probably his. I believe this was his first weekend playing, full throttle in the scrimmages, and he hit a home run in the scrimmage on Friday. He had some really nice moments at third base. He was getting some looks at third base and at second base as well. So I think it's going to be probably a kind of a pinch hit kind of start for Gavin, just as he really makes his way back into the lineup. But I think he's absolutely a guy that LSU can lean on and be comfortable with, whether it's in a pinch hitting role, whether it's at second, whether it's in the outfield for a spot start. He's going to be one of those guys that I think is going to be all over the field this year and is going to have a lot of opportunities with this team.
Glenn, thanks so much for your time. We'll do it again next week.
All right, Hunt. Thanks.
Glenn West, Go247. He's a senior right over there for all your LSU sports and recruiting coverage. You can check him out at Go247.com. I want to remind you, this February, 104.5 ESPN and Citizens Bank and Trust are here to offer you a holiday rebate to the tune of $2,000 in cash. Also be selecting a local prize winner that's going to receive $1,000 in cash. You can sign up now at 1045ESPN.com. All right, we've done this a few times over the last month and change. We got another anniversary to get to finish off our number one. If you don't know what it is, we've got some sound, and we will bring you back to a different time and place as we finish off our number one here on the Hunt Palmer Show.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
LWCC is Louisiana Loyal, elevating and celebrating champions of Louisiana. In February, we are telling you about Simone Malaz. She's the executive director of Restore and Retreat. Simone's dedicated her career to protecting Louisiana's coast and helping the state take a leading role on the world stage in environmental restoration. The state's coastal land loss crisis is not only a problem for Louisiana. The state's home to nearly 40% of the nation's wetlands, responsible for the production of over 20% of the commercial fisheries landings by weight in the lower 48 states. We know how vital our coastland is to our great state, and Simone Malaz has dedicated her career to protecting it. That's why she is a champion of Louisiana. If you know a champion of Louisiana like Simone, or it's a nonprofit, maybe a company that's doing awesome work in our great state, we want to tell their story. Go to lwcc.com/champions, lwcc.com/champions, and nominate someone, some nonprofit, some company to be a champion of Louisiana if they're doing great work here in our great state. We'll be able to tell their story. LWCC wants it to happen. We're making it happen, and we could not be more proud of this sponsorship. LWCC, presenting champions of Louisiana like Simone Malaz. LWCC is Louisiana Loyal.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
We get it done with strength, commitment, dedication, grit.
We get it done
with passion for our fans
and love for our community. We are the Tigers.
Get it done.
Let the values of the purple and gold be in your starting lineup this season. And as always, get it done.
Bayou Ford has $4,000 off MSRP plus $1,000 Ford credit cash on new 22 Ford F-150 XLT trucks. That's $5,000 off plus 0% financing. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure glad you're here.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
Saturday, February 25th, 7 p.m. The Bulls, Bands, and Barrels Tour at the Lamar Dixon Expo Center. Presented by Jerry Lane Chevrolet. Edge of your seat excitement with bull riding, barrel racing, ultimate bullfighting. With a live performance by Bailey Zimmerman. With Timothy Wayne, plus two-time PBR world champion Chris Shivers, and Brinson James, the entertainer. Tickets and information at bullsbandsandbarrels.com. Saturday, February 25th, Lamar Dixon Expo Center at 7 p.m. Presented by Jerry Lane Chevrolet, the #1 Chevrolet dealer in Louisiana.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money.
Moscona inviting you to join us for Tuesday's AFR. We'll continue counting you down to Super Bowl 57. Graf joins us as the Pels are back on the floor against the Hawks. And Lee joins us to talk beer. Hopefully you will as well. 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Sharif Ishak going to be with us coming up here in about 12 minutes. Sharif usually at 2:30 on Tuesdays. He's got a meeting at 2:30, so we're going to bump him up, talk a little Saints and a little Pels with Sharif. Still a lot to get to in the second hour as well. Some SEC basketball tonight. Two big games tonight that I want to touch on, and then there's a stat that Connor O'Gara found from Bill Connolly over on ESPN about returning production in college football, specifically the SEC. So we'll get some SEC football coming up at 2:15 after Sharif. But since the new year, we've had like 4 or 5 opportunities to go back and play something that it was the anniversary of, whether it was the 2003 LSU National Championship, 07 National Title, 19 National Title. Actually played the Nolan no call. That was not the most fond memory for those of you here in South Louisiana. But we did go back and play the Saints winning the NFC Championship game over the Vikings with the Garrett Hartley field goal. So it felt like, a couple of weeks later, it's time to now do another anniversary. We're going to go back 13 years ago. And as we play this sound, you can just imagine where you were, what you were doing. Under 4 minutes to play, Saints by 7.
Manning in the shotgun, puts Collie in motion, looks in his direction. It's picked off! It's picked off! It's Tracy Porter again! He's running free! He's going to go all the way! Hand outstretched! It is a Saint touchdown! 70 yards on the return! 70 yards on the return by Porter! He did it to Favre, and now he's done it to Manning!
I'm going to tell you what, Tracy Porter knew that route was coming and jumped it. Peyton Manning threw it right to him. He was the only guy left out there to tackle Tracy Porter. Porter ducks to the inside, got that big break when you needed it. Gosh almighty, how fortunate are the Saints to come up with those huge plays whenever they need it. We said that the Colts
I don't have any issue with the Saints broadcast team right now. I think they do a good job. That's what the Saints sound like to me, as someone who listened to quite a few Saints games coming home from church growing up. And that was, as great a moment as the franchise has ever seen. And I don't think I remembered Hokie laughing like that when Henderson is calling the interception. He's just laughing as Tracy Porter jumps the route and takes it back the other way. Just pure jubilation in the voices of those two. Oh, man, you can go back and watch that tape. And I don't have these emotions when watching the Saints, but I certainly do looking at LSU Oklahoma in the 2004 game for the 2003 season, the Cubs in Game 7 of the World Series in extra innings. And you understand the weight of the moment and how miserable it is, in a good way, if that makes any sense, that you're so nervous and so terrified. You have a 7-point lead, and you've got one of the 3 greatest quarterbacks who ever lived trying to engineer this drive to go down and win the Super Bowl. And you got to stop him. It's the same way that LSU had to stop the Heisman Trophy winner and Jason White to get off a 40-year schneid of no championships. Same way the Cubs had to get from down 3-1 for me in Game 7, extra innings. And it's like you're hanging on every play. And then when your team hits the play, the one that knocks it dead, the jubilation is just unbelievable. And I can very vividly remember that I was in college, and my fraternity rented out a bar, and we had a bar right there in Tigerland. I think it was called Mike's at the time. I don't think it's still there. But we had the whole bar rented out, and we watched the game. Everybody just went absolutely nuts. And when they won, everybody just kind of looked at each other and went, well, we're going to New Orleans. And we hopped in the car and booked it down I-10. I parked the car at my aunt and uncle's house, and we got a ride to we went to F&M's. And the scene in New Orleans for that was unlike really anything I have seen. I've been in New Orleans for 3 LSU national championships. The first one, I was a sophomore in high school, and we immediately left the Dome and went back to Shreveport. But it was pure chaos in F&M's. They stopped charging for drinks. The bartenders were standing on the bar pouring shots into people's mouths, just handing out beers left and right. Like it was lawless. It was lawless. It's the best way I can describe it, in the best way. And you never beat the first one. Yes, LSU in 2019, that season to me was a more magical ride than 03. In 03, first of all, I'm a sophomore in high school. I don't think my perspective is quite what it is as a 33-year-old adult. But it didn't even become real that LSU could win a national championship until well down the line in 03. In 19, LSU's already won this thing twice and played it for another time. This is why we're here. We can do this. Oh, we beat Texas. You can always make a run. It was a different ride. But the first one, you can never get to the level of the first one. And so Saints fans, I think you'll probably get another one, depending on your age. And when the law of averages will say the Saints will get another Super Bowl here. But it won't feel like that one. And, man, what a moment that was when Tracy Porter jumped that route and headed back the other way 70 yards against the Colts to give the Saints their first Super Bowl, especially for a franchise that had been so dismal for so long. I had the same type deal with my Cubs. I know how that went. I cried a lot after they won. I hope you did after the Saints won. 13 years ago today, it was February the 7th, 2010, the black and gold lifted the Lombardi. Another happy anniversary to go back. I'll try to make anniversaries happy as we go back. I apologize for the Nola no call. I probably should have done that, but it was an anniversary, and it was a big deal. This one's a little bit more fun. Saints Super Bowl champs. If you missed any of hour number 1, you can always catch it on demand, 1045 ESPN ESPN.com's on-demand tab. You can find all of our shows at 1045ESPN.com. All the audio is uploaded each and every day. Or you can go to Apple Podcasts or Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, search Hunt Palmer Show. If you would like, subscribe, rate, review. That would mean a ton. And always appreciate those of you hanging out in the Bayou Ford chat right there on YouTube. Throw us a like if you would. Subscribe to the channel. You'll get all of our full shows each and every day and the videos that Taylor cuts up every day with some 10-minute segments. He does a great job of curating that stuff, and it'll all show up right at your fingertips if you subscribe to the channel, so we would certainly appreciate that. We open things up talking about the run Cam Thomas has had this week. He is lighting it up for the Brooklyn Nets. Saints have an offensive coordinator, Sean Payton, doing a little hiring from New Orleans. Talked about that in the first hour. Glenn West of Go247, always good enough to join us here on Tuesdays. We'll have SportsCenter coming up. After that, Sharif Ishak from WDSU talking Saints and Pels. See what Sharif was doing when the Saints won the Super Bowl, and some college football to get to as well. Come back after SportsCenter. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure glad you're here.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
Saturday, February 25th, 7 p.m. The Bulls, Bands, and Barrels Tour at the Lamar Dixon Expo Center. Presented by Jerry Lane Chevrolet. Edge of your seat excitement with bull riding, barrel racing, ultimate bullfighting. With a live performance by Bailey Zimmerman. With Timothy Wayne, plus two-time PBR world champion Chris Shivers, and Brinson James, the entertainer. Tickets and information at bullsbandsandbarrels.com. Saturday, February 25th, Lamar Dixon Expo Center at 7 p.m. Presented by Jerry Lane Chevrolet, the #1 Chevrolet dealer in Louisiana.
Start your day with news and newsmakers. Start your day with traffic, weather, and local stories that are important to you. Kickstart your day every day. Mornings with Brian Haldane from 6 to 9 a.m. Weekdays on Talk 107.3.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. This could be a historical night in the NBA. LeBron James with a shot at becoming the all-time scoring leader. He enters the matchup against Oklahoma City 36 points away from passing Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. The achievement, the result of LeBron's sustained greatness, notes ESPN NBA insider Brian Windhorst.
It's a beautiful side effect of the longevity of his career. It's such an iconic record. I mean, it's really been held by two guys since the 60s, or I guess since the early 70s. That is such an important thing, and it's something to be celebrated and reflected on. But really, it's the product of him being so great for so long.
Brian Windhorst on Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max. Lakers Thunder, 9:30 Eastern, ESPN Radio. NFL from ESPN's Adam Schefter. The 49ers hiring former Panthers interim coach Steve Wilks as their defensive coordinator. He takes over for DeMeco Ryans, now the head coach of the Texans. NHL, the Sabres locked up another key piece of their core. They signed forward Dylan Cousins, 7 years, $49 million. U.S. Labor Secretary Marty Walsh leaving the Biden administration to become the executive director of the NHLPA.
Do you own or rent your home? Sure you do. Fortunately, Geico makes it easy to bundle your home and car insurance. It's a good thing, too, because having a home is hard work. Go to geico.com, get a quote, and see how much you could save. Geico.com. Easy.
Now, Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour 2 here on a Tuesday. Hunt Palmer Show, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Usually on Tuesdays, we'll chat with Sharif Ishak, WDSU, at 2:30. Sharif is too busy for us at 2:30, so he will join us now. Hi, Sharif.
It's because the Pelicans are winning, and they're back, baby. So I have to give.
It was going to be a question. Are they back?
Yeah, you know, it's crazy how an NBA season works, man. It takes just one win and maybe two players to, like, really get their confidence going. And it feels like it's just such a sports cliche, man. All you need is that just one win, that one confidence booster. And it felt like, I said, all right, man, if they get the Lakers, that's cool. They got the Lakers. It's going to be tough to win on back-to-back nights against the Kings squad that's, you know, third in the Western Conference. I get De'Aaron Fox didn't play, but they've been playing decent without him. And then they come out and just blow them out by 30 points.
Yep.
I mean, it was just impressive. I mean, that's the third time this season they've won them on back-to-back nights. So I like what they did this weekend, specifically from Trey Murphy.
Yeah, it's been interesting to see the evolution of Trey Murphy, and obviously when you draft him, you understand that he's an excellent shooter, but he's doing a little bit more than just standing out there and shooting.
The guy can drive. I mean, he's athletic. He's crossing people over. He can get to the basket. I mean, he's 6'9". I mean, and I think he's still growing. And his wingspan is unreal. It's got to be 7'1". I mean, that's how good and athletic he is. He could do anything. The thing that I think we saw from him this weekend that many people have been waiting to see is him to shoot contested threes. So, I mean, he doesn't always have to hesitate and drive to the basket. It's good. It's good to do that because you create for yourself and others, but it's nice to see a guy who's a shooter shoot those shots. You're 6'9". You're going to be able to shoot a lot of those shots over the guys. You're not shooting line drives. And, you know, he was 4 of 9 against the Lakers and 6 of 8 against the Kings. You know, almost, you know, got above his career high at the 30 points. Needed 32 to tie it, 33 to, you know, break his career high. But I think that's trending in the right direction. You know, he's exactly what this team needs.
On Saturday night, BI just went nuts in the second half in the fourth quarter. Was it just making shots, or was he playing a little bit more aggressively now a couple of games into his return?
I think that maybe, you know, he realized, all right, it's time to get it going. It's time to be the guy who's, you know, the mid-range assassin, the midi god, as they like to call him. He went 16, 11, 8, second, third, and fourth quarter in that game. And when it came to closing time, he took control of the game. He did exactly what you thought he would do whenever he is fully healthy. And that's a sign of great things to come for this Pelican squad, hopefully, whenever he can actually play on these back-to-backs and not have to sit out any games. But that's exactly the thing that this, franchise needs to see and the fan base needs to see, because you could tell a lot of people were getting antsy and they were getting frustrated whenever he came back. And, at one point in time, he had almost as many turnovers as, shots made. And that's not what you need from, your all-star.
I was playing golf on Sunday with a couple of Pels fans, and we got the tweet that came across that said, oh, by the way, B.I. not playing in Sunday night's game, and they were a little salty about it. Do we think now that was just, hey, he's not going to play a back-to-back right now, or as opposed to he re-injured his toe?
No, he's playing tonight. I mean, he's probable. He and JV are both probable, which means they're back in the lineup. I just think that they're being a little extra cautious, and to me it's a little weird. I mean, you had 2 months off. I don't know why you don't play him back-to-back nights unless it's like really that sore after a game like that where he played a ton of minutes and he was doing a lot for the team, especially down the stretch. So I don't know, man. I've never had a toe injury like that, but it's crazy for me to think that you don't want to play after having 2 months off. And I understand the frustration, but we don't know his body. So if his body says it's super sore and they tell him, hey, no, you can't go out there, then he's not going to go out there. This team has been very cautious, considering, everything from Zion last year.
Atlanta coming into the blender tonight. Key to the game for the Pels in this one.
This is one of those games where this is like they got lucky the other night. I mean, they were only like 11 of 42 from three. The Kings, they were missing a lot of open shots, son. That transition defense needs to get much better. They cannot leave DeJounte Murray and anybody else open in the corner, because there are a lot of guys who are open in the corner in that Kings game. And that's one thing they must avoid. That transition defense has to find a way to get back. I understand you got to stop the ball, but there are guys who are hanging out in the corner that are just wide open. And that it seems like a team, the Hawks, would be making a lot more shots if they're wide open than the Kings.
What's the buzz on trade deadline possibilities for the Pelicans? Is it stronger a possibility they do something, or possible that they just say, hey, we got to get whole with this group? That's what we're feeling like.
I like what they have. Now, to me, I've told you many of times, I don't need a big major name or two. I need a 3-point shooter and a rim protector. I've said this for a while now. If this team can find an athletic rim protector, maybe not the biggest of names. I'm not going to say which guys are out there that are available. I would love for Daniel Gafford to be on his team. I mean, the dude is athletic and he just blocks shots left and right. He can get you the rebounds and points by the basket. Is he available? Probably not. I mean, and then you need a 3-point shooter. I'd watch out for the names like Gary Trent and Bojan Bogdanovic. Those are the two names I can see them going after, even if it costs them a little bit. But that's what it costs in the NBA to win. You got to get another play. You got to give up some of your assets. It would truly help for them to get a 3-point shooter, because they're not going to have the 14 of 26 games every single night from downtown. You're going to end up with some of those games where they're 9 of 30 or 5 of 28. That's just, that's why they need another shooter, in my opinion.
Pels hosting the Hawks tonight. 6:30 is the tip time. Pelicans 1.5-point favorites over Atlanta. Saints side of things, Sharif. I guess since we spoke, Sean Payton did decide to jump. I think that's a really good thing for the Saints. What do you think?
For Dennis Allen, it is a good thing because the ghost of Sean Payton is out of the building. He doesn't have to look over his shoulder at all times and wonder, Sean Payton, is there a chance that he can come back and be the coach if I have another bad season? Now, he doesn't have to worry about that anymore. He does have to worry about having a good season, because that can honestly lose him his job if they have another bad season. But, at least they got back a first and a second, even though I hated that they gave up a third-round pick to get a second. But, I guess that's the business Mickey Loomis likes to, playing on, is just giving up picks to get a higher pick. But at least they got a first-round pick out of it.
They did get a first-round pick out of it. Your thoughts on the new defensive coordinator hire?
It's, one of Dennis's guys. And you're going to see Dennis hire his guys, because you're seeing, Sean Payton's taking this coach, that coach. These coaches are all interviewing with Sean Payton to go to Denver. And I don't think they're going to stop them. You know why? Because Dennis wants his guys. He wants the complete Sean Payton, ghost of Sean Payton out of the building. And I don't think they're going to stop any of his guys. And I know everyone's like, what about Pete Carmichael? He needs to be the one gone. Don't be shocked if he's the only one who's there. Just saying. So, I mean, it is what it is. Joe Woods, I looked at somebody's tweet and they listed all of his accomplishments, the good and the bad. I guess we'll see. anyone who's getting mad about the moves being made or not being made, just look at it this way. Caleb Williams.
That's who you want the Saints to lose a bunch of games so they can get Caleb Williams. Understood. So, look, I mean, there's been some guys that have looked at Denver, some guys that have jumped at Denver. Zach Sharif comes to mind. Are there significant losses there?
Yeah, in terms of he did a decent job developing Trevor Penning before he, went out and then got hurt again at the end of the year. I thought he did a solid job, developing some of those guys. But Doug Marrone is the offensive line coach. I think Zach Sharif is up and coming, but I think Doug Marrone has a lot to do with, Cesar Ruiz playing better, Trevor Penning as well. I mean, I don't want to discredit Zach Sharif and the job he did. He did a pretty good job. Yeah. He deserves the credit, and that's why he's getting that job with Sean Payton. Understand that they're close, and that kind of helps him out and get the job. But he did a solid job. But I like what Doug Marrone did last year for the offensive line. The job he did with James Harris. They're shuffling guys in and out. I mean, come on. They did a pretty solid job for the most part, knowing who was playing quarterback for the Saints last year. So there are going to be some guys who are going to jump with Sean Payton, and there are going to be some guys who are just going to stay, and people aren't going to be happy. But that's just, Dennis Allen wants these guys.
I'll bring you a time when everybody was happy. It was 13 years ago today the Saints won the Super Bowl. Where were you?
I was actually in the stadium covering the game. I was on the field right where Tracy Porter was returning the pick six off of Peyton Manning. It was fun.
Did you have a camera on your shoulder, or were you just standing there watching?
No. Did I have a camera on my shoulder? Did I? No, because only the local affiliates were allowed, like the New Orleans and Indianapolis stations were allowed to shoot. We could be on the field. But, no. They were, you know how they are with local TV stations.
Oh, I know. I know how that works.
Not allowed to shoot anything. So, it was fun, man. It was fun. I can remember it like it's yesterday, man. We had to sit in the stadium like we were fans, like all the media sitting in the upper bowl. They were throwing us hot dogs and chicken sandwiches. It was the best time I've ever had, man. That whole trip, that whole week, I remember it like it's yesterday. I mean, I remember doing all the stand-ups and packages on South Beach. I just wish we could do that again. That would be great. Maybe in 2 years when the Super Bowl is here.
Well, we'll see. I think the Saints will be back at some point. Just feels a long way away right now. Sharif Ishak, WDSU, with us every single Tuesday. We'll do it again next week. Thanks, Sharif.
Anytime, bud.
Appreciate him for making some time for us a little bit early. Usually he's a 2:30 guy on Tuesdays, but got some Pelicans obligations as they welcome the Hawks in tonight for a 6:30 tip-off. Take a time out. When we come back, Bill Connolly has a lot of heavily researched stories that he does on ESPN.com, and he did one on returning production in college football, and we pared it down to the SEC. Where does LSU stack up there? And maybe a little bit of a surprise at number 1. That's next on the Hunt Palmer Show.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
One Bath and Closets, onebathandclosets.com. Go to the website. Just check out the testimonials. Check out the possibilities that may exist within your home. David Duvall and his team have been in the bathroom and closet business for 30 years. They can do a full-scale renovation of your bathroom, from the floors to the shower to the plumbing, the whole deal. They're a licensed contractor. Maybe it's something simple, like just a tub-to-shower conversion that takes that tub right out of the floor of your bathroom and turns it into a gorgeous walk-in glass shower. Could totally change the way your bathroom functions and looks. And the closet side of things, so many of us have closets that are so cluttered. Mine is. It's got shoes everywhere. It's got suitcases. I got shirts all over the place, some that I don't even wear. Maybe you need an overhaul to your closet. He can knock out your current closet and put in an entirely new unit, or maybe they just use your current space a little bit more efficiently with some racks and some mirrors and some cubbies and some shelves. You won't know until you try. The consultation is free with David Duvall and his team. Just have him come in and give it a look. Promise you'll want to move forward with David Duvall and his team at One Bath and Closets. Go to the website, onebathandclosets.com. Again, it's onebathandclosets.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure glad you're here.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walk.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust.
Jimmy out and Mike Delicano for the Tuesday edition of Game Time presented by Bet Rivers. We're at Doe's Eat Place on Government Street in the heart of Mid-City. Game Time presented by Bet Rivers, 6 to 8 p.m. on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hope your Tuesday is going awesome. We'll be out at Pluckers for sports trivia tonight. 8:30, we will crank things up, have you out of there by 10 o'clock. It's really fun out there at Pluckers on Nicholson. Grab a team, come on out, cold drinks, great food. You can win Pluckers gift cards, watching some sports and answering some trivia questions. Always a ball. We'll be out there tonight at 8:30, Pluckers on Nicholson. I'm not a math guy. I hate math. It doesn't make sense to me. I took business calculus 3 times in college. I made an F. No, I withdrew from the class. I made an F, and then I made a C. The third time I took the first test, I made 100. It was on derivatives, but I didn't do very well after that. I hate math. So I'm not going to explain to you Bill Connolly's formula for coming up with his S&P Plus production numbers. But basically, I can tell you that you're looking at rushing yards, passing yards, offensive line starts, tackles, sacks. It's offensive, defense, all encompassing, field goal kickers, punters. It encompasses everything. And he went and ran the numbers and said, all right, well, here's who's got the most back for next year. Here's who's got the least. And I found it a little bit interesting. LSU on this list comes in at number 32 in the country. That is 5th in the Southeastern Conference. We know that a lot of the offense comes back with Jaden Daniels, with John Emery, with Malik Neighbors, with Brian Thomas, Mason Taylor, your offensive line. You're going to return 4 starters off that unit. You're in good shape offensively with returners. On the defensive side, there's a bit more of an overhaul. Yeah, you got Greg Brooks coming back. Yes, You've got Major Burns coming back. Mekhi Wingo was phenomenal. You've got some returners, but there's a lot that are moving on to the NFL draft. And that's where LSU's dinged in this deal at 32. But 4 teams ahead of LSU. Ole Miss at number 30. I'm shocked that Auburn is at number 28. Third in the SEC. Missouri, 9th in the country. 2nd in the SEC. And the team with the most returning production from last year, entering next year in the Southeastern Conference, is the Texas A&M Aggies at 7th in the country.
Hey, quick, what year is it?
It is 2023.
I feel like I just heard this last year, actually. I feel like I just heard this, and they went like 5-7.
They did go 5-7.
Okay,
that is correct.
I couldn't remember. I feel like I'd heard this before.
That is correct. And I think if you're the LSU fan or the Bama fan or a Texas fan or somebody that hates A&M, I would include myself in that. However, I don't necessarily follow this exact line of thinking. You would say, yeah, great. They got a bunch of guys back on a team that sucked. They're going to be terrible again next year because Jimbo's a terrible coach, and they're going to want to fire him, and the whole thing's going to get burned down. That's a fun thing to say in January and February. You have at it. That's great. I'm just telling you that train's going to pick up some steam in July. If you're looking at it, you're going, well, Connor Wigman, I got him back in there. He played really good in his first start. And then against LSU, he never made any mistakes, was under some pressure, made some big throws, big plays. He's a 5-star quarterback, talented guy. Now he's in his second year. They lose A-Chain, but Le'Veon Moss is back. And then you look at the receiving room. They bring back Evan Stewart, who was sensational last year. They bring back Moose Muhammad. He makes a one-handed catch against LSU. He's coming back for his junior year. Aniyah Smith announced that he'd be back. Their offensive line was not good last year. Quite frankly, it was awful most of the year. Somehow, they knocked LSU right out of the way on every snap, but they were brutal for most of the year. But they're just about all coming back. And then on defense, they returned just about everybody. They had all those 5 stars on the defensive line. They'll be a year older. They returned 19 of 22 starters. I don't think they're going to win the league. I don't think they're going to the playoff. But they're not going to be atrocious like they were last year, I don't think. They were hurt. Their quarterback was terrible. Jimbo's offense was antiquated. It was a perfect storm last year, which, for 3 months, was hysterical, entertaining, fulfilling, wonderful for me to sit there and watch them absolutely embarrass themselves most Saturdays. I enjoyed it. I don't expect it again. It'll probably look closer to 8-4, 9-3. Which, again, is not going to win them anything. But as much fun as we had with, oh my heavens, A&M went to Columbia, South Carolina and lost. They couldn't score on Auburn and beat them. They just fired their coach. It was great. It was a blast. I had fun doing it. I just think they've got a lot coming back, and these recruiting classes were loaded with some pretty good players. Yeah, they had a ton of transfers out. Most of them were freshmen and backups. Would they like to have Denver Harris back? I'm sure they would. But most of them were reserves. I think A&M's going to be a little bit better, and they've got a ton of guys coming back. Now, one of the reasonable things to point out here is that coming in at number 125 is Alabama. That is near the bottom of the country. It is the bottom of the Southeastern Conference. And this just is not quite like John Calipari's early Kentucky basketball program, where, yeah, you lost all 5 starters, but you just bring in the next 5 All-Americans and they're all awesome. I'm not certain about Bama's wide receiving core. I'm not certain about what their quarterback play is going to be. They're going to have great running backs. Their offensive line is going to be super talented, but they lost a lot off the defense, too. Toto's gone. Obviously, Anderson's gone. They've got 5 stars hanging off trees over there. But there's a safety blanket when Tua's coming back. There's a safety blanket when Bryce Young's coming back the last 2 years. And that doesn't quite appear to be there. So by no stretch of the imagination am I tossing dirt on Alabama's grave here. I'm not saying the Saban dynasty run is over. They're done. What I'm telling you is, over the last couple of years, you had to look long and hard to find anybody who was going to suggest that Bama would not win the West. They were a shoo-in to win. And more people than not are going to pick Alabama to win the West this coming summer, because that's just a default. But you're going to have some that aren't. And some of that love is potentially going to come to Baton Rouge. I haven't dug into it quite yet. We still got another transfer portal run to go. I'll get into my deep football dive in July. The baseball team's going to finish up. I supremely hope that I'm at Barrett's Barleycorn doing the show after a national championship. That's when baseball ends. But the odds are that baseball will end with a crushing loss. That's just statistically. We've played a lot of baseball in this town. We've won 6 of them. Hadn't won one in 14 years. It doesn't happen all that often. And I need a minute before I can put that to bed and dive into football. You got to give me 3 weeks to play golf and go to the lake and just get out of that mode for a second before I can fully dive in. At that point, I will give you a more educated thought on the SEC West for next year. But this feels like Alabama's replacing a lot. And we just don't have the guaranteed names. And quite frankly, this is very difficult to do, but I'm not sure they totally restocked the shelves after Judy and Ruggs and Smith and Waddle left. The next crop wasn't quite that good. And that can happen at quarterback. You had Tua, and then you had Bryce, and then it's not as good. That happens. It's not just an automatic, next, okay, same deal. Man, they lost a lot. 125th in the country in returning production. We'll see. It's a very, very foolish thing, most would say, for me to sit here and talk positively about A&M's prospects for next year and negatively about Alabama's. I understand that sounds really dumb. But it's kind of the way I feel. And maybe it's because I'm more prone to looking at both sides of the equation rather than the way more fans than not you hear A&M, well, these guys suck. Jimbo's terrible. They're not going to win anything. That's just a fun way to approach things as the opposite fan base. I tend to look at it from the other side, and most decisions be like, well, Wigman looked all right. Got all their playmakers back except A-Chain. They could be better. And then the default would probably be for Alabama. Well, they're going to be fine. They got 5 stars everywhere. I go, well, is that right? Are we certain? I don't know. A couple other notes from this list. Arkansas at number 106 in the country. They lost a lot in the transfer portal and to the draft. Georgia comes in at 80. I have a hard time thinking they're going to really struggle. I know that Stetson's gone, but I feel a little bit better about maybe the prospects at that quarterback spot than I do about Alabama's. I'm just not high on Milroe. But Georgia comes in at 80. LSU, again, if you missed it earlier, 5th in the SEC, number 32 in the country in returning production all over the field. So just wanted to kind of give that a look here. Connor O'Gara from Saturday Night South tweeted it out, but Bill Connolly from ESPN actually pinned the piece. So if you want to check it out, you can catch it on ESPN+. We'll take another timeout. We will come back. Big matchups in the SEC in hoops tonight. I'll give you my thoughts on them so that you can fade them and potentially win some money. We'll also play some Take It or Leave It when we get on down the road. Hunt Palmer Show.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Football fans, FanDuel has the perfect way for everyone to get in on Super Bowl 57 action with a no-sweat same-game parlay. That means everyone gets bonus bets back if your Super Bowl same-game parlay doesn't hit. Doesn't matter if you're new to FanDuel or already have an account. Same-game parlays let you combine all your favorite bets for a chance at a bigger payday. So start building your own or just bet a popular same-game parlay already made for you in America's #1 sportsbook. You can bet on Patrick Mahomes' rushing yards. Got a bum ankle. What are you going to do there? Running back, anytime touchdown. If you're new to FanDuel, sign up with the promo code 1045ESPN when you download the app. Either way, you'll get bonus bets back if your no sweat same game parlay doesn't hit. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Must be 21 and present in Louisiana, 3+ legs, $1 bet minimum. Refund issues a no-withdrawable bonus bet, which expires 7 days after receipt. Max bonus $5 unless otherwise specified. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. If you're someone who has a gaming problem, what's help? Call 1-877-770-STOP.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Saturday, February 25th, 7 p.m. The Bulls Bands and Barrels Tour at the Lamar Dixon Expo Center. Presented by Jerry Lane Chevrolet. Edge of your seat excitement with bull riding, barrel racing, ultimate bullfighting. With a live performance by Bailey Zimmerman. With Timothy Wayne. Plus two-time PBR World Champion Chris Shivers. And Brinson James, the Entertainer. Tickets and information at bullsbandsandbarrels.com. Saturday, February 25th. Lamar Dixon Expo Center at 7 p.m. Presented by Jerry Lane Chevrolet. The #1 Chevrolet dealer in Louisiana.
All right, let's say ah.
Where'd my spotlight go?
Super weird, but we can take care of it.
Get in and get better at Patient Plus.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure glad you're here.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana.
On Wednesdays off the bench, the Pels managed to make it 3 in a row against the Hawks. 1 day closer to baseball, 1 day closer to LSU, South Carolina. All the latest in the college football landscape and an hour of flustering with our guy Matt Flynn. Off the bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
I went 2-2 on my bet picks last Tuesday in SEC basketball, so those of you that tried to fade me, you didn't win either. Unless you bet more on the 2 games that I lost. But if you just bet them straight, you didn't win by fading me. Do you have the guts to do it again tonight? A couple of really good games in the SEC tonight. I'm excited. I'll be at Pluckers and we'll be able to watch some of this, especially the late game. First game at 6 o'clock, ESPN2 is the biggest probably. It's Auburn at Texas A&M. The Aggies have just been really good of late. I don't know another way to say it. Auburn got beat badly by A&M on their home floor, snapping the nation's longest home winning streak after Gonzaga had gotten beat previously. And then Auburn goes up to Knoxville and plays, I guess, a good defensive game, maybe, but it was just ugly start to finish, and this figures to potentially be another pretty ugly one with a couple teams that can really defend. It's in College Station. The Aggies are 3.5-point favorites. I'm not fading Texas A&M right now. I realize that over the last 10 minutes I've said way too many positive things about Texas A&M, and that's on me. I'll get better. I'll do a better job at talking. But I'm just not in a position right now to bet against the way that Texas A&M is playing. If you look back over what they've done in league play, it's been good, and it's not just beating up on the awful teams. They clubbed LSU at home, who's not very good, but they went to Florida and won, beat Missouri by 18 points, hosted Florida, won again, went to Auburn and won by 16. They're playing good. No, they hadn't beaten Alabama. No, they hadn't beat Tennessee. So you haven't climbed to that level just yet. But right now, I'll take the Aggies, and I will lay the 3 points at Reed Arena tonight. Should be a bonkers environment there, which is pretty rare for A&M basketball. But I think Auburn will bring a pretty good crowd. It's the early game, ESPN 2. I'm on the Aggies, minus 3.5 in that one. SEC Network at the same time, Ole Miss and Georgia. I don't get this line. I don't know if there's some sort of injury I'm unaware of. I didn't see one. Look, I know Georgia's not great, but Ole Miss is terrible. This game is in Athens, and Georgia's only a 1.5-point favorite. I don't quite get that. I mean, yeah, Georgia's lost 5 of 6. Their only win was against South Carolina. They're not good. I get it. And these two teams played in Oxford, and it was a fairly close game, a 4-point game. I don't know why this game is thought of to be as competitive. 1.5 is not enough. This should be 5 or 6. I'm heavy on Georgia, not in actual betting, but if you were to give me my thoughts, I think Georgia wins this game, and they're going to cover 1.5 at home against the worst team in the league. That's my feeling. If you really care about fading me, that's the one you go to. South Carolina and Missouri. South Carolina's just not going to be able to keep up in this game. They don't have the talent offensively. I don't know how excited I am to lay 15.5 points, but that's what it calls for. So that's what we're going to do. I just need Missouri to shoot it really well. They did for 3 games, and then they showed up on Saturday, and they didn't. And they got beat 52-63 at Mississippi State. South Carolina cannot do to Missouri what Mississippi State did, because Mississippi State's a good defensive team, and Missouri and South Carolina's not. So I will go ahead and lay the 15.5 and not feel super awesome about that. You're going to need Missouri to hit 15 threes in this game to get there. If you don't think they will, go ahead and take the other side. And then there's the nightcap up in Rupp, which I am fired up to watch from Pluckers. Arkansas headed to Kentucky. Wildcats 7-3 in the league. Arkansas has scrapped and clawed and found a way to get itself to 5-5. Would I call it the most impressive 5-5 in the world? I would not. Your wins are against Missouri, Ole Miss, LSU, A&M, and South Carolina. The South Carolina win in Fayetteville is pretty good, but this one would be better if they could go to Kentucky and win. And quite frankly, they need to continue to put hay in the barn if they're Arkansas. I tell you this every week, but their last 3 league games are at Alabama, at Tennessee, home Kentucky. That's a nightmare for Arkansas. You don't need to go into those spots having to win a bunch of games to get in the NCAA tournament. So they need to take care of business against Kentucky if they can on the road tonight. They got a home game with Mississippi State coming up. They are at A&M, which is not easy. I mean, they still have road games coming up to Kentucky, to A&M, to Alabama, to Tennessee. Those are probably the 4 best teams in the league, and Arkansas has got to go to all 4 of them. That starts tonight against Kentucky. I'm fascinated to see if Arkansas can get Oscar Tshiebwe into some of those pick-and-roll situations where he has struggled so much this year on the perimeter to play defense. That's where teams have killed Kentucky. Cal's trying to adjust to it. Arkansas does like to do some pick-and-roll action. You just don't have to guard them as much on the perimeter because they're not very good three-point shooting teams. They're trying to get downhill and shoot balls at the layup, at the basket. Kentucky's hard to do that on. Sheboy's down there, Toppin's down there. They can make things interesting around the rim. So it's a 5.5-point line. I will take Arkansas in the points. I think that Kentucky wins this game, but I do think it could be a 1 or 2 possession game late. And I will take the Hogs plus the 5.5 to stay in it at Rupp tonight. But again, really, really good night of SEC play tonight when you consider Auburn and A&M at 6 o'clock on ESPN2. Then opposite that, you got Ole Miss and Georgia, which no one cares about. No one cares about South Carolina, Missouri either, but Arkansas, Kentucky. Arkansas trying to get its way into the tournament. You got to win big games like this to do it. And I think LSU baseball is – I'll probably give you some cautionary tales next week. You all know about the David Price Vanderbilt team that got beat by Michigan in a super. You know about the Oregon State team that LSU beat in 2017, 56-4, won 2 games. You know about Tennessee last year. Arkansas had those feelings about the team they had assembled entering this year. They thought, this is a Final Four team. This could be our next national championship team. Arkansas still thinks of itself as a basketball school. And it's been grossly disappointing to be 16-7, 5-5 in the league, to have lost game to LSU. This is not where they thought they'd be. And I certainly hope LSU's baseball team doesn't stumble here or there. But, again, they're cautionary tales, not indicators of the future. Sometimes when you think a team's got all the goods, for some reason it doesn't come together. In Arkansas's case, some injuries and some really poor shooting have done them in. So we'll see if they can score a big win against Kentucky. If they beat Kentucky tonight, I'll probably come on tomorrow and say I think they've got a real chance to make the tournament. They lose to Kentucky tonight, it feels like a much steeper climb because they don't have the resume right now to me. And you got to start winning some of these games that matter if you're gonna put that resume together. So Arkansas and Kentucky tonight on ESPN at 8 o'clock. I will take the Hogs and the 5.5 points. All right, let's take one more time out. We'll play some Take It or Leave It, and then we'll turn over the reins to Mr. Moscono. And after further ado, it's the Hunt Palmer Show.
This is Hunt Palmer. Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Saturday, February 25th, 7 p.m. The Bulls, Bands, and Barrels Tour at the Lamar Dixon Expo Center. Presented by Jerry Lane Chevrolet. Edge of your seat excitement with bull riding, barrel racing, ultimate bullfighting. With a live performance by Bailey Zimmerman.
Rockin' a hard place.
With Timothy Wayne, plus 2-time PBR World Champion Chris Shivers, and Brinson James, the Entertainer. Tickets and information at bullsbandsandbarrels.com. Saturday, February 25th, Lamar Dixon Expo Center at 7 p.m. Presented by Jerry Lane Chevrolet, the #1 Chevrolet dealer in Louisiana.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure glad you're here.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, anytime. Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
Moon Griffon is back. The voice of Louisiana politics makes his return to Baton Rouge. Catch the Moon Griffon Show weekdays from 9 to 11 a.m. on Talk 107.3.
Kansas City Chiefs face the Philadelphia Eagles in Super Bowl 57. Tune in Sunday, February 12th, starting at 1 p.m. with Westwood One Super Bowl preview, leading you up to kickoff at 5:30 p.m. right here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
I want to invite you to come on out to the Rouse's in Denham Springs this Friday as we broadcast live starting at 1 p.m. with this show right here, the Hunt Palmer Show, and then after further review with Matt Moscona at 3 p.m. You can come meet former LSU Tiger and World Series champion Alex Bregman as he debuts a new product from his Breggy Bomb lineup exclusively at Rouse's. Plus, make Rouse's your one-stop shop for all your big game party needs. It all starts this Friday at 1 p.m. live from the Rouse's in Denham Springs on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Very much looking forward to getting out there and hanging out with Alex and Matt and having some fun over at Rouse's on what hopefully will be a gorgeous weather Friday here in the capital city. Closing up shop here on a Tuesday, Taylor Sharp, let's play some Take It or Leave It.
Yeah, let's play some Take It or Leave It. St. Andrews has removed the stone walkway they installed at the foot of the Swilken Bridge last week after almost unanimously negative feedback. Take it or leave it.
I'm going to take this. I get it. For those who didn't see this, the Swilken Bridge, you probably know from St. Andrews, it's a little bridge that goes over a little berm that runs through the first and 18 holes of St. Andrews. It's literally centuries old. They don't even know where it came from. They think it was made so they could get fishing equipment out there in the 15, 16, 1700s. I mean, it is centuries old. But it's an iconic place in the world of golf where people take photographs and you walk over it to go to your ball in the 18th hole. And they can't grow grass at the base of it because it gets so much foot traffic. So their solution was to put this massive stone patio-looking thing in front of it, which kind of makes it look cheap and dumb. And it wasn't working. They got to find something, whether it's maybe, I don't know if they're going to do an AstroTurf mat there, but they got to have something other than a huge stone patio by the Swilken Bridge that is 400 years younger than its bridge counterpart. It did not look good. It wasn't working. That place is steeped in history, steeped in tradition. You can't just go shaking things up. They can't put, something crazy by the Hogan Bridge at Augusta. It doesn't work like that. You gotta consider history and the aesthetic that they're going for. They missed the mark big time, and it took them about a week to figure it out, but they fixed it.
As we all know, Hunt Palmer here has been just a diehard Bengals fan basically since birth.
Basically.
So this is a tough one for you. A.J. Green announced his retirement yesterday. A.J. Green is a Hall of Famer. Take it or leave it.
I think I got to leave it. He was twice a second-team All-Pro. He never led the league in any statistic. Great player, Pro Bowl player, number one wide receiver. But in an era where receivers are putting up video game numbers, I don't know that AJ was a Hall of Fame player. He did go for 1,000 yards his first 5 seasons and then one more time. So 6 times 1,000-yard receiver. But again, it's just an era where a lot of people were putting up 1,000-yard seasons. I mean, Chris Olave had a 1,000-yard season this year. I get there 17 games, but he didn't play in all of them. So I can't go to Hall of Fame with A.J. Green. I think he's a really good player. And my lasting memory of A.J. Green was a story I've told here on the show in the 2009 game in Athens, LSU in Georgia. I didn't like my seat. I couldn't remember why, if it was the people that were around me or I don't know, but I ended up walking down right by the hedges and watching the game from there, and he made the touchdown catch right there before the celebration penalty and the Trenton Holiday run back and Charles Scott's touchdown where he got a celebration penalty, all that. But he was literally 12 yards from me when he caught the touchdown to put Georgia up. But thankfully, LSU came back and won it. So thanks for that memory, AJ. Sorry you lost that game.
Bubba Watson's Live Golf Team,
oh, sweet.
This is a good one for you too, has rebranded to the Range Goats.
Oh, yeah,
the Range Goats, take it or leave it.
I'm going to leave that pretty significantly. The Live put out its hype videos today. It's so bad because you've got all these guys who are like too cool for school, like Brooks Koepka and Bryson trying to do like these photo shoots. It doesn't work. And then they're all teams. For those that aren't familiar with Lives, they're trying to make it team golf. They got the high flyers and the crushers and the smashers, smash whatever. They got the 4 aces. It's dumb. And Bubba's team, I don't even know what it was called, but it's now the Range Goats. And Bubba had a video that said, why do we call it the Range Goats? Said, one, because I got to go to the range to practice for my team. And goats, you think it'd be greatest of all time. It is not. It is golfers on a team is what they're going with there. Basically everything they do is stupid. And I laugh at all of it. And I'm not going to watch any of what they do. But I'm sure they're having a great time with all their money. So that's good.
Live is the Texas A&M of golf. All right, last one.
A lot of money, not a lot of results.
The New Orleans Pelicans are getting healthier and have won back-to-back games. The Pels can still be a top 4 seed in the playoffs. Take it or leave it.
I'll take it.
I'll take it.
I don't think you can just totally discount November and December. I think there's merit in that. And, yeah, they've been atrocious for a month now, but they may get a little healthier. Zion may come back, and we saw what they did at the end of last year where they went on that full speed ahead blitz after the CJ trade. They got into the play-in game and made some advancements in the playoffs. So they can play well late. They need all their pistons firing. They need their guys out there playing, which they haven't had. But it's reasonable to think that it's possible for that to happen. So, yeah, I think they can be. I don't think they will be, but I certainly think that they can be. And I hope they are because it's interesting for us down here, and it's something else to talk about. And if they're number 11 in the West, probably not going to get a lot of airtime here. If they're number 3 or 4, yeah, let's do it. So I hope that is the case for the Pellies moving forward. That is a game of take it or leave it. Remind you, every Tuesday we are out at the Pluckers on Nicholson for sports trivia. We will be out there tonight at 8:30 watching some basketball, playing some sports trivia. You can win gift cards, cold drinks, great food. Pluckers, always a good time. Grab a team and come on out. We have some fun out there, and you're done by 10 o'clock. You can get on home and get to bed on a Tuesday night. If you missed any of the show today, you can always catch our shows on demand at 1045ESPN.com on the On Demand tab. All of our shows are right there, from Off the Bench, Handing Time, Hunt Palmer Show, After Further Review, and Jimmy Ott's Game Time. All the sound is logged there every single day. If you prefer one of your handy-dandy apps, we got you covered there as well with Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Anywhere you get your podcasts, you can find the Hunt Palmer Show. Just search. We appreciate a like, a subscription, a rate, a review, as long as they're good. We certainly appreciate those. And YouTube, you can always find our stuff on YouTube. You subscribe to the channel. It's right there below the feed for those of you that are in the Bayou Ford chat right now. If you want to head on over and hit that subscription button, every time we go live, you're notified, and you can get all the videos that we crop up each day. Taylor does an awesome job of taking a couple segments every day and posting those to our page, and you can always catch the full shows on there as well. Today, quick moving show on a Tuesday. We open things up with Cam Thomas, who is absolutely in fuego over the last week. He's dropping 40 a night for the Nets and may have found a little niche in the league. Certainly has put a lot of teams on notice that he's a guy that you can count on to get some buckets. And I kind of talked about the weird relationship that you would have as an LSU fan to Cam Thomas because of the circumstances surrounding his 1 year in Baton Rouge. One, he only played 1 year, and two, PMAC was half empty because it was a COVID year. So it was a fun team to watch. They scored a lot of points, but most of you weren't in the PMAC watching them. So Cam Thomas was the open to the show today. The Saints have a defensive coordinator, and Sean Payton hiring Zach Sharif, interviewing Ronald Curry, kind of looking around that Saints staff to fill his staff in Denver. Is that kind of overstepping his bounds as far as Saints fans are concerned? Glenn West, Go 247, always kind enough with his time on a Tuesday. We talked LSU basketball. We talked LSU baseball with Glenn. Always appreciate our chats with him. And gave you a good anniversary today. 13 years since the Saints hoisted the Lombardi down in Miami. It was February the 7th, 2010. We went back into the Wayback Machine to talk about that one. Sharif Ishak from WDSU was with us at the top of hour number 2. Connor O'Gara and Bill Connolly put out some numbers. Returning production in college football. Where did LSU rank? A&M. Tops in the SEC there. Are they primed for a little bit of a bounce back? An SEC basketball preview at 2:30. That's your show for a Tuesday. Jimmy Ott's Game Time coming at you from 6 to 8 tonight. Matt Moscona is about to drive you home on After Further Review. Have a wonderful Tuesday, everybody. Hope to see you at Pluckers. If not, same time, same place tomorrow, 1 to 3 on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.